We all know about slavery, where people were rejected by their society, by their group, for one reason or the other, or sold away for greed, sold away to foreigners, put on ships, and then the ship traveled to foreign places. And when they arrived, families were separated, children and parents sold away to different places, and then worked so hard without any reward and spent the rest of their days in servitude. No freedom of choice, no freedom of anything. Couldn't sing or marry or keep their kids. Families destroyed forever. Culture abandoned. And we know the trauma it has caused to millions. And I'm not talking only about transatlantic trade. What about African slavery within Africa? And then Arabo-Muslim slavery. Now you think that slavery is something of the past. Unfortunately for you and for me, slavery is very much alive today. There are places today where people are still sold in markets. I won't mention the place, but I leave you to find it. But then the one I want to talk about is voluntary slavery. There are people today that were well integrated into their own society. Many of them are at work. Most were married with a lot of prospect. They were respected. They were loved. They might not have been very rich, but at least they were having chance to grow. But they were not satisfied with that. And then they decided that must be better somewhere else. And so they decided to find the means, gathered all their economies, their savings, coerced their families into selling land, and then left like the prodigal son with a lot of money. And then jumped into dinghies and risked it all, crossing the Mediterranean Sea in search of better prospects. They were told that the place they were going to was a marvelous heaven on earth, where they were guaranteed a work, where they would have so much money that they would be able to feed their whole family and send extra money back to their countries. Unfortunately, some of them drowned. Others arrived, and you know what? Have you heard what happened next? I know that guy that crossed like that. He didn't get invited. He didn't seek a job before he traveled. He decided to crash into the country he was targeting. He arrived in Italy and then struggled, could not get a job. Eventually, he made it to the UK, and the job he got was stacking shelves at night in a warehouse. And at a point he was asking, what's the point? What am I doing here? Another one traveled to Austria, could not feel comfortable, and is now struggling to adjust in the UK. Another one went to Germany, could not stay, traveled to the UK, had to abandon all his certificates and professions. He was an accountant in Nigeria, and then he had to retrain to be a nurse in mental health. Not even a qualified nurse, it was just like a care worker. And then another one was a radiographer in a hospital in Nigeria, traveled to the UK and ended up as a porter in hospital, a porter. There was another one that traveled to the UK too, and then people were talking about her. Ah, great. They didn't know that she was a nanny there. There's no shame in that, except that it was not what she thought she would do, and it was certainly not what people in Nigeria believed. And with her meager salary, she was trying to help at home. If it's well with you and you manage to get a good job, you may not be promoted. Some years back, in the university I was told that there was a group of what they call black and other type of people. I joined the group, and I heard there that on the whole of the UK there were only 9 black professors, which means that if they managed to get a job, they would be kept at the bottom of the pile and denied promotion, except when they managed to promote you. I remember one time I discovered that this was not limited to black people. I was in a department where there were lots of foreigners, and it was like, you know, these bowls, these aquarium bowls where you have goldfishes. So the fish, they swim happily, seemingly happily, stay at the same place, no promotion, no improvement, no improvement in salary. They swim beautifully, and then from time to time people want to improve their statistics, so they say, let's find one to prove that we are good. So they take a spoon and pick one of the goldfishes, and the person gets promoted, and everybody will be clapping. Great, marvelous, fantastic. Meanwhile, all the others are still in the bowl. And I don't blame anyone, because you have the right as a country to give preference to your own people. You know, Nigeria did it to the Ghanaians. At a point, Ghana was very poor. They flooded Nigeria until after some time, Nigeria packed them back to Ghana. And it's how we got that bag that is called Ghana Must Go. We all know Ghana Must Go. But did you know the story behind it? So know it that this is slavery. When you decide to uproot yourself, abandon everything behind, leave your job, and for the sake of some mirrors, you sell yourself for a pittance, just like Esau abandoned his birthright for a bowl of lentils. Please, before you decide to sell yourself into slavery, meditate on the Word of God and don't force yourself onto other people that never invited in the first place.